Every year, I gift my straight male friends games that I'm sure they'll enjoy, only to get met with declines every single time. This year, I want that to change. This year, I'll find a game they're sure to play. Something that's adventurous, something that has an engaging story, something with never before seen battle mechanics, something with lovable characters, something relatable to the human experience, something gay. I first played Super Lesbian Animal RPG, or SLARPG for short, in June of this year. I kinda ditched because I thought my Discord status would look funny while I was playing, which it did, and definitely didn't plan to get so into the story. Since then, I've played it twice over, and I've had this video idea in my head ever since. Truly, SLARPG is one of my favorite indie games I've ever played, and I hope I can showcase my appreciation for all the hard work that went into it the only way I know how. So join me as we enter the wonderful world of Reverie, and maybe we'll even see a few familiar faces along the way. But first, I want to briefly cover the development of SLARPG, which started from its predecessor, Super Lesbian Horse role-playing game. Both of these titles were created, directed, designed, written, and much more by solo dev Bobby Ponnet Schroeder. Releasing in 2013, Super Lesbian Horse RPG follows a few different characters from the My Little Pony franchise, as well as some original characters that play important roles in SLARPG, but we'll get to them later. Admittedly, I haven't played this game, nor do I really know much about MLP, but it seems like it was generally well received and has a lot of gameplay and UI elements carried over to SLARPG. It's also notable to mention that a majority of the cast in SLARPG was actually inspired by MLP characters. I really hope you're keeping up with these acronyms. After this game, Ponnet wanted to expand its scope a little bit, and as what normally happens with these sorts of passion projects, that scope kept getting bigger and bigger, eventually becoming what we know now as Super Lesbian Animal RPG. As stated by her directly, it had been in development on and off since 2015, with a free demo coming out in 2019, which showcased the beginning acts of the game, then the full game releasing to the public on December 20th, 2022. I also feel it's important to note that her birthday is December 25th, so happy birthday. Also, her favorite anime is FLCL, and that is so incredibly based. Now, I call this segment Prologue to the Prologue because, well, on December 19th of 2022, one day before the official release, we got the Prologue comic to SLARPG that introduces us to our main cast of characters and gives a little bit of insight to their relationships. We open on Faith, Claire, and Jody in the center of town after slaying a slime creature that Claire clearly summoned, and some relationships are established. Jody and Faith are dating, and Claire is good friends with Jody. Faith tells them both to go grab some more reinforcements, and we're introduced to Melody and Allison. We have a scene where Mel saves Allison from the remnants of the slime monster from earlier, and we learn a little bit more about their personalities. The rest of the comic is the story of how the two of them started finally dating, and it's really sweet. But that's the end of the comic. It gives us context of how Melody and Allison got together, and that's kind of like the big thing. So now we're finally able to get into SLARPG. For real this time, no more funny intro bits. When we first boot in, we're given a very brief backstory of the world the game takes place in. Over 1,000 years ago, a goddess by the name of Fortuna gifted all mortals magic. After magic was widely taught and understood by these mortals, their societies flourished and prospered. Magic coincides with the modern technologies that mimics that of our own, but even still, some people choose to chase their dreams of fame, glory, and moderate financial stability, becoming what are known as adventurers. The Sapphire Islands, a cozy, tucked-away region where those living fully connect with their environment, is where most of the game takes place. We're introduced to Melody and Allison as they're walking in the woods one night, talking about their future as adventurers when suddenly a mysterious voice calls out to them. Turns out they're on a treasure hunt, and we have to follow some clues in the area, which basically acts as our tutorial. One thing that may be surprising is that Melody is actually the main character. At least to me, it felt a little ambiguous whether it would be her or Allison. Once reaching the treasure chest, it's revealed that the mysterious voice was actually just Claire, and she brought the two of them out here partially as a training exercise since they're all in the same guild together. But as Claire begins to explain the main reason she brought them into the forest in the middle of the night, she gets attacked by a behemoth boar, and we're thrown into our very first combat encounter. I'll get more into the mechanics of battle a little bit later, but just know this is a fully scripted battle. As right as we're about to lose, Claire jumps in, casts Scorch, and makes the boar flee. After a quick checkup, Claire reveals that she holds Fortuna, the goddess of magic spellbook. I hope you remember her from earlier, she's a little bit important. She begins to perform a ritual to awaken Mel and Allison's magical abilities. Firstly, she has Mel answer some questions, and after a quick back and forth, Mel decides that she wants to be a paladin, a noble crusader with a code of honor and all that jazz. As for Allison, she just wants to beat up preferably evil monsters and doesn't really care what her powers are. As Claire confirms the ritual is indeed dangerous, we're sent to this weird place where reality and magic intertwine and make this sort of really pretty dreamscape. As we're walking the path of stars, we see this shadowy figure staring right back at us, and when we interact, it disappears. Surely that won't be important later. Once reaching the end of our path, we're presented with 3 different doors to open, 3 different paths that will shape our journey. The first being the path of the Woodland Paladin, strengthened by a faith in Mother Nature. The second being the path of the Resolute Paladin, strengthened by sheer force of will and a faith in one's own abilities. And the final path being that of the Amorous Paladin, strengthened by a faith in the power of love. After thinking it over, I decided to go with the latter option, the Amorous Paladin.
What about the power of love?
That's the cheesiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I know.
But it could work, especially with how inseparable you two are.
This idea sounds pretty gay. I like it. And with that, the choice was made. This is Melody Amaranth, a 22-year-old trans fox girl who's bi. Well, this game is definitely ending up on the woke games list now. My favorite part of this little card is the dislikes bad stuff because that's just so real. A few months earlier, she came to the realization that she wasn't content just going with the flow anymore, and that something was missing. For one, Mel realized that she was in love with her best friend, Allison Galetta, which was established in the Prologue comic. Secondly, she realized that if Allison wanted to become an adventurer, then hey, maybe she could come with as a healer to keep her out of trouble. Once we gain control again, I mess around with some settings and I can't help but notice the art, yes or no toggle, and the politics and ludonarrative dissonance sliders. I turned politics down by 1, don't worry. Going over to the computer, it's nice to know that Tumblr is canon in SLARPG and we're able to see a couple of Mel's posts, including this photo of her and Allison from earlier, which was actually taken before they were even dating. We also see Claire and Jody and another post. After saying bye to her cat Shadow, Mel heads for town to meet up with Allison, but first we get into our second battle. Riveting. Once we walk for a bit, we make it to the outskirts of Greenridge, and after going up these steps, we run into Jody sitting on a bench. Jody talks about how Claire is excited to go on a guild expedition with the 4 of them, and congratulates Mel for picking up healing magic so quickly. We ask where Allison is at, and after Jody exposes Mel for being a true yearner, we're told to head into the town to find her. Diamond Square is where all the paths going out of town meet up around this big statue of Fortuna. This sort of acts like our hub world. There's a bunch of different shops for all of our adventuring needs. We talk to Beverly, who owns the local diner, and she tells us that Claire works there and that we're in her top 4 favorite paladins. After going up some more stairs, we run into Faith.
Hi, Faith. It's nice to see you out of your office for a change.
Hello, Melody. Yes, it's been a quiet week. Plenty of time for me to paint. Of course, with Greenridge being quiet for this long, it's probably only a matter of time until someone causes a fuss. Probably Claire.
She exposes us further for being a yearner, then we go ahead and step into the Guardian's Tower, say hi to Chet behind the desk, then continue on our mission to find Allison. I did kind of forget where she was, it took me a second, I'm not gonna lie, but once we get onto the hiking trail, all we have to do is follow it, beat up a few monsters, and we reach Allison looking off into the distance. She tells us how she got into a fight with a monster on the way and got cut up, so Mel casts First Aid on her for the first time and is able to heal the wound almost instantly. Just then, a whole hound attacks them both, and I'll get into explaining battle mechanics finally. You have your standard attack, skills, guard, and item options that you'll find in most RPGs, but let me show you the single most broken option out of any of them. Kissing Allison on the cheek raises all of her stats by 15% for 5 turns, with the only downside coming from using Mel's turn. Allison is also able to kiss Mel on the cheek, but sadly for her, it's not as useful. Allison is your primary damage dealer, and the combination of this buff alongside the other ways you can raise her attack, well, let's just say she can solo a lot of bosses with the right help. I promise I won't be on this fight much longer, but what makes this battle system so unique in my opinion is the star power mechanic. To give it a brief explanation for now, each party member has a little star gauge that fills up when certain character-specific conditions are met. For example, Mel gains star power when she casts healing spells, and Allison gains star power when she uses basic attacks. There are other ways to raise it aside from that, like how when Mel kisses Allison, Mel's gauge goes up. There's also items, gear, and other moves that can raise this too. But why raise it? What's the point? Well, the higher the star power, the more powerful abilities you're able to do. For example, a normal attack from Allison did 88 damage to this whole hound, but after using a level 1 star power high kick, she does 108 damage to it. Once we gain more party members and reach higher levels, it becomes a lot more important, but that's a basic rundown of how combat encounters work for now. After feeding the whole hound, Mel and Allison catch up a little bit since they haven't seen each other in a while. So since you're here and I'm no longer busy, why don't we do something together? I've missed having you around, you know. Let's go do something fun.
What, like couple stuff? Like a date?
Yeah, totally. Normal couple stuff. No magic, no guild, no monsters. Just a chill afternoon together.
You know what? You're right. I think a relaxing day off would be good for me. Or at least half a day off.
That's the spirit.
Did you have something in mind for us to do?
A kiss would be a start.
So, what now?
I don't know, we'll figure something out. Let's just look around town and find something fun to do. And then we finally get to add Allison to the party. As we're leaving the hiking trail, we run into Paula, Allison's mean coworker, and Allison and her have a little back and forth. She's kinda just an asshole the whole game, and always appears when you least want to see her. Upon arriving back in town, Beverly takes us into the diner and gives us some free cake, restoring our HP and MP. Mel opens up to Allison about how she's worried that everyone is just encouraging her because they're her friends, and she's really scared that if she fails, she'll let them all down. Allison doesn't do a great job at comforting Mel here, and shifts the conversation to what she's been up to. Turns out she quit her job to adventure full time, and the two of them decide that they want to go track down Claire to talk about guild stuff, and we figure Jody is the best person to ask about where she is. If it wasn't apparent from the Prologue comic and the dangerous spell she cast to give Mel and Allison magic, Claire isn't the most cautious spellcaster. We learn that she accidentally swapped Jody's arms with her legs, made someone way too loud for way too long, probably cost a lot of money and property damage, and the list goes on. Anyways, Jody tells us Claire is in Allison's basement for, guild reasons, so we head down there. How long have you been in my basement? What are you even doing down here?
Listen, I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
I guess we're ready? What are we ready for exactly?
Wonderful. All you need to know is that your basement is now the entrance to a dungeon!
What?
Oh dear.
Claire made a makeshift dungeon in Allison's basement in order to help train them in a more controlled environment. Jody can't join us right now, so it'll just be us three, but Claire assures us that it'll be fine. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Claire joins the party as the third wheel, and we set off on our dungeon crawling journey. The enemies down here consist of dust bunnies and cardboard boxes, which is great because the first spell Claire has access to is Scorch, which is super effective against most enemies down here. Claire's star power builds each time she uses a basic attack or an offensive spell, leading to her being a sort of secondary damage dealer while also providing some buffs to the party. Here we can talk a little bit about enemy weaknesses and resistances. Most enemies just kinda are weak to what you think they would be weak to. Like, oh, a dust bunny, weak to fire, or hey, a tall enemy, weak to a low kick. Most of the time, if you see an enemy and you think it'll be weak to something for literally any reason, there is a good chance it is. We think outside the box, laugh, and discover there's a whole cave beneath Allison's house and decide to go explore it. While walking around, we go to turn on this generator Claire conveniently placed next to water in case it catches on fire, and get attacked by a grotto mermaid. When casting a spell like Scorch or other elemental skills, there's a chance for them to apply a status condition. In this case, our Scorch applies a burn. The burn slightly damages an enemy every turn it's active. The one complaint I have with this is that a status condition cannot knock out an enemy. Surely that won't, happen during an important fight later, right? This fight is relatively easy, and the mermaid apologizes for attacking us, and she's pretty chill. She gives us the mermaid wand, but I've already dumped enough mechanics for this section, so we'll get into weapons and gear a little bit later. Just know I give this to Claire. We backtrack to the dungeon with the 2 keys we've acquired, and we're able to go into the final room and fight the biggest dust bunny of all. Once we do enough damage, we reveal its true form, and it's jacked. However, after a couple more kisses and about a dozen more Scorches, it goes down. Claire levels up and gets Frost, which is just like Scorch, but deals ice damage with a chance to inflict the frozen status effect. I will be spamming these 2 spells the entire game. Once the battle is over, we're rewarded with the Xerxion Saber and give it to Allison. It actually boosts her attack quite a bit, and it's really cool because when... there wasn't a wall there before. We turn around and a mysterious path opens to our right, and as we walk in, we cut to Jody getting a text from Faith a couple minutes beforehand, telling her to urgently get her armor on. Going back to the party, we go deeper down this path and return to the weird underground cave system. Allison warns us about going any further, and when Mel opens a supposedly booby-trapped chest, we get Allison's photo album. In there we see multiple younger photos of her and a photo of her and her mom when she was little. Very cute. As the party continues, the cave turns into this pink, distorted mess. There's seemingly missing pixels and the music cuts out, giving us this very ominous ambiance. So naturally, we sleep on the couch that's right here and restore our HP and MP again before heading in even further. The title card that pops up is all glitchy and the textures start going missing, leaving these really weird empty blue tiles everywhere, and with no other path, the party goes into this strange blue opening in the wall. Once coming out the other side, the best song in the game starts playing. You can see how much they all enjoy it too. While exploring this weird, distorted space, I guess there's no better time to mention how amazing the music in this game is. If you watch any of my other videos, you would know that I use at least one SLARPG song in almost every upload. A majority of the songs in this game are made by Beatrix Quinn, and she absolutely cooked. As always, every song used in this video is linked in the description and order of appearance. Speaking of appearance, the enemies start to get weird. Now we're fighting rips in space-time, mobile whole hounds, and my personal favorite, most of an eggs. Mel learns the skill Purify, which out of battle clears the corruption, allowing us to get around some barriers, and in battle cures the corruption status condition. We collect the 4 keys that are scattered around the area, and a staircase opens up in the middle. We go into this hallway that is completely corrupted, and once we reach the end, we have to fight what's known as the Core Guardian. This fight is probably the toughest one yet. It summons 2 swords on either side that deal massive damage if you're not careful. However, at this point, Claire has learned the attack boost spell, and after reaching level 1 star power, we give Allison an attack buff on top of the kiss buff, and she starts dealing really good damage. It goes down after some super effective frost and high kicks from a juiced up Allison. Then, as the party is talking about what to do next, an unfamiliar face appears.
Should we turn back? Maybe everything shifted around back there to give us an exit. Another monster?
Resorting to name calling, are we? Is that all you have to say of yourselves?
Okay, 2 things, dude. 1, if you keep trying to scare my girlfriend, we're gonna have a problem. And 2, can you lose the goofy mask?
I know the good looks can be hard to believe, but this is just my face.
That's, okay.
Huh?
Nothing, don't worry about it.
Oh, you think I look peculiar, do you? Well, the feeling is mutual, you weird little ear creature.
Wait, do you not know what a rabbit is?
Please! I never claimed to be a zoologist.
We don't actually think you look funny, by the way. That would be very rude to the only person who might be able to help us leave. Right, Allison?
Yeah, I really love that one piercing eye that stares directly into my soul thing you got going on.
Okay, but what exactly were you doing building a weird labyrinth down here underneath our town?
I could ask you the same thing about your little dungeon, now couldn't I?
Ah, so you've heard of my work.
Claire, now's not the time.
Excuse me, I don't think we caught your name.
My name is Javis. Not Jarvis, Javis. Javis. Everyone always gets it wrong. You may also refer to me as Sir, if you wish to grovel.
Okay, Mr. Javis, sir. What exactly is going on down here?
Oh, just making some preparation before my superior's arrival. Tidying up would be the word, I believe.
Your superior? Who's that?
Whoops. I probably said more than I should. It's none of your concern. I'm letting you 3 off with just a warning. You're lucky I have better things to do right now than deal with you. Just for future reference, quit punching my subordinates. And try not to wreck anything else of mine, okay?
After recollecting ourselves and leaving the cave, we decide that we're just going to keep what happened between us right now because we don't want Faith finding out. Later that night, after the gang went their separate ways, we take control of Allison as she's looking around for Mel, which she eventually finds sitting on the pier. Couldn't sleep?
Just a little restless, I guess. How'd you know I would be here?
I didn't. This was my 4th guess. Well, today sure was interesting, huh?
I certainly can't say that's how I expected to spend my Monday.
What do you think would be different?
Less eggs, mainly.
Fair enough. Hey, you did great though. All that healing and junk, we couldn't have done it without you. I probably wouldn't gotten punched clean through a wall and left a bunny-shaped hole like a cartoon.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about all this. I mean, the circumstances might not have been ideal, but I don't know. Something about healing just feels right. Maybe it just feels good to be useful to someone.
Mel, it's not good to judge yourself based on how useful you are.
Okay, maybe that's not the right wording. It just feels nice to be helping people. You know, keeping my friends from getting hurt. Making a difference in their lives. Maybe I've even finally figured out my thing.
Your thing?
Okay, like, Claire's got her magic, and Jody's a courageous knight with a code of honor and all that, and you're a great fighter and you're super cool. What stands out about me? Being pink? I don't have any flashy talents or interesting hobbies or a cool job. I'm just kinda around. But now, maybe healing is my thing.
I mean, you seem like a natural to me, but you've already got a lot of things. You're super nice and you're insightful and you're generous and you're a really giving person, you know that? And of course, you're pretty cute too. That's a plus. And look at me, I'm glad you think I'm cool, but I'm just a big dummy who likes swords and cute girls with swords and run-on sentences. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I hope this works out, but if it doesn't, you shouldn't worry about trying to force yourself into a neat little box like that. It's okay for you to just be you. I mean, I already like you for being you. I adore this interaction between Mel and Allison. It really shows us how open they are with each other and gives us some insight into the both of them. Like at the diner conversation from earlier, Mel is clearly struggling with figuring out her thing, what makes her unique, and how she is her own person aside from her relationship to Allison and the others. Being in a supportive role inherently causes one to fade into the background in a sense, and it's really revealing how Mel doesn't view herself as anything more than a supporting character in everyone else's journeys. Allison is very sweet, but once again sorta misses the mark on comforting Melody here. She talks about why she started adventuring, how her mom inspires her, but it's a lot to live up to. She tries to help Mel by letting her know that she doesn't know what's gonna happen, but as long as they're together, it'll be okay. However, this isn't really what Mel needs to hear right now.
Hey, have I ever told you why I chose the name Melody?
I don't think you have. Why do you ask?
I don't know. We're just reminiscing now, I guess. So, you know I always have to overthink everything, right? So I really wanted to make it count. I couldn't just pick any name. Melody sounded like a sweet name to me, and, well, this probably sounds stupid, but I thought that in a song, the melody is sort of the centerpiece, like the focal point of the song. It's got a certain confidence to it, and it's the part of the song that people pay attention to in most songs, right? I don't know, that might be all wrong. Maybe I should have taken music theory in high school.
No, that makes sense to me, and I did take music theory.
I thought that if I just heard it enough, I'd start to think of myself like that. Like my name represented the kind of person I wanted to become. Not just the girl part, but like everything. Someone more confident in her voice, I guess.
Do you remember what I said when you came out to me in Faith?
You said that if I spelled my name with an I, then I could dot it with a heart. And that'd be cute.
Why'd we take so long to start dating?
Because we're a couple of dummies.
I think the story of why Mel chose the name Melody is really sweet. The melody is integral to the foundation of any song. It's usually the part you remember, but a melody alone doesn't make a great song. It requires all the other moving parts to work together in a perfect harmony. Who is Javis? What is he planning? Why was that dungeon getting all corrupted? And just how the hell is Allison able to punch a rip in space-time? All of this and more will be revealed in Act 2. But first, I'm going to reveal that only about 6% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. And we all know that a bigger number equals a better person. I also have channel memberships at a Ko-Fi page if you want to help support me directly. We'll become friends in real life if you do. And of course, I'm chronically on twitter.com if that's your thing. Anyways, back to our scheduled program. After sleeping in for a little bit, Mel and Allison get a knock at the door from Claire, telling them to meet her at the library. Claire tells us that she's been looking into whatever Javis is and trying to get to the bottom of whatever happened to them the night before. For some reason, she can't get on the Wi-Fi, so she's just been looking at whatever books were available. Unfortunately, there's literally nothing about this kind of thing written in any of the books, and it's starting to freak Claire out. Once again, she assures Mel and Allison that she doesn't want to bring this up to Faith, and instead suggests that we just keep an eye out and see if Javis starts doing anything bad. The gang decides that they'll investigate this themselves and protect Greenridge if it comes down to it. But first, they want to get Jody since she's the most experienced out of their group. On our way out of the library, Mona, who is just a little upset that Claire keeps hogging the private rooms, gives us the bestiary. Whenever fighting a new monster, it'll automatically log everything about that creature so we can reference it in battle or learn more about certain monsters. Now, where have I heard of this kind of device before? This sort of dex? Oh, right, the Sujimon Encyclopedia from Yakuza 7. Duh. Arriving back at Diamond Square, we run into Holly and ask if Jody is with Faith in the tower right now, to which she warns us that Faith has quite a bit on her plate right now. She also gives Mel a second-hand staff, which means it's time for more info dumping. These are your 6 stats: attack, defense, magic, magic defense, agility, and luck. All pretty standard when it comes to an RPG. These increase as you level up, and depending on what you have equipped, can get raised even further or lowered. Which then brings us to the equipped menu. You have your weapon, spellbook, head, body, and charm slots. Head and body act as your armor slots, usually for the purpose of increasing your defense, which will sometimes lower your agility, depending on what you have on. Weapon is also pretty straightforward. It'll raise your attack or magic attack, and sometimes will come at the cost of lowering that opposing stat. Where it gets interesting is the spellbook slot. You're able to buy and find more spellbooks throughout the game that increase the depth of your move pool. For example, I buy the Magical Girl spellbook to equip on Mel. This gives her access to a spread healing move really early into the game and some other nice resistance spells. I also buy Inner Beast for Allison since it has a couple of very useful moves. Lastly is the charm slot. As we get more charms, I'll go into what they do, but most of the time the charm slot adds an extra passive ability to a character. Okay, I think that's all for now. We go up to talk to Faith about finding Jody, and Allison lets her know about Javis. Since her and the rest of the paladins, the defenders of Greenridge, are so busy, she has no choice but to leave this mission up to us. Claire has a plan anyways. We're gonna just head north, grab Jody, then figure out what Javis is up to. Easy peasy. First things first though, Claire has to let Beverly know that she won't be making it to work, and we find out that there's a little bit of romantic tension between the two. After that, we head into the Amber Woods just north of town on our quest to find Jody. Immediately we get sidetracked as we find two locals trapped in a big block of ice for some reason, of course blocking our path. Claire says it wouldn't be a great idea to try to break them out using what we have now, so instead we go to the sun god Soleil's shrine to see if we can learn anything. After taking out the local frog population on the way there, the party realizes they don't really know what they have to pray for, so Mel just kind of touches the orb and asks for some help. And then, nothing happens. Or so we think. When leaving the shrine, you run into Bill, who gives us the sun souvenir, allowing Mel to melt the big blocks of ice that have been blocking our path. So after some backtracking, we go and free the two that were trapped in ice, Beth the Beast and Mariana. They're both pretty chill, laugh, and promise to repay us someday. We head west and begin ascending a mountain on our quest to find Jody. An enemy highlight of this area is Cool Snake. Definitely one of my favorites. We eventually come upon a mysterious door, and once opened, it transports us to the astral plane. The astral plane. It basically lets us fast travel between different doors we open around the Sapphire Islands, pretty much like the Nether in Minecraft. Back in the overworld, there's also this gate that surely we won't eventually see if it has any relevance to us, right? Once walking past that, we encounter our first boss fight of this act against the Trash King, who is just a bird that really wants to kick our ass. One thing I didn't mention during the whole Sun God section is that Allison leveled up and learned a brand new skill. Theme song. Theme song is funny. It doesn't do any damage, but it changes the battle music to something Allison would like and raises her star power by 1. A typical turn 1 for my entire playthrough is Mel kisses Allison, Allison plays some tunes, and Claire casts Scorch or Frost. So while I'll play it occasionally, just know that almost every encounter that allowed me to switch up the music, I was listening to star power on loop. Which honestly, I really love that song, so it's not a bad thing at all. It's just really funny that is an optimal turn 1. The most notable part of this fight is when the Trash King charges up for a powerful spell, which on the next turn, it's revealed he does not know any spells. This fight isn't too bad, mainly due to Mel's Lovely Aura, which is a party-wide healing spell, and that pretty much negates the spread damage the Trash King does. A little further up the mountain, we find Jody's wallet, and although Allison tries her best to summon her here, Jody is nowhere to be found. Which then leads to us hopping onto a warp pad, taking us to the celestial wasteland in search of our friend. We went through a lot of encounters along our journey in the wasteland, and my one complaint is that no one in the party has access to spread moves at this point. Claire does get Magic Missile, but it takes 2 star power and some MP to cast, which I think is a little high for this kind of move. Later, she does get cheaper spread spells, but it takes a little longer than I think should be the case. Regardless, once getting through a good chunk of the desert, we run into a massive robot who we hope has seen Jody. But that doesn't work out for us as it initiates another big fight. Tunes on, girlfriend kissed, yeah, we're ready to fight. This fight isn't too bad, but after draining its HP, it's still standing and we're in no shape for round 2. That is, until an all too familiar voice calls out to us.
It's still moving.
Crap, even after all that, how do we take this thing down?
What do we do? Run?
Hold on, who's that up there? Jody!
Claire? What are you 3 doing all the way out here?
We should be asking you that.
Can we catch up after the robot is dealt with?
Huh? Oh, sure thing. Here goes nothing.
Claire hugs Jody and we tell her that everyone has been worried sick since she's been MIA for over 24 hours. Jody says how she tried to text Faith, but for some reason, just like at the library, it never went through. We catch Jody up to speed and she believes she has a lead. the mysterious cloaked figure she followed out here. Just then, the robot wakes up. And she's really sweet. Her name is Glyph, and someone reprogrammed her to hunt down beast folk, but she's back to her normal self now and apologizes for her behavior. Jody joins the party and we head to Mumford, the main town in the wasteland. Jody is our fourth and final party member, and while the others' roles are pretty straightforward, Mel is the healer, Allison is the damage dealer, Claire does magic and sometimes buffs, Jody, though, is weird. She gains star power from taking damage or others taking damage while they have her barrier spell applied to them. I kind of think of her as the tank of the group. She has a bunch of health and specializes in redirecting incoming damage and preventing enemies from moving, while also dishing out damage that, once ramped up, is on par with Allison's basic attacks. When I first played through SLARPG, I didn't really like Jody that much. Probably because I didn't know how to best utilize her skill set, and I also thought her character was kind of boring compared to everyone else. However, since replaying, I have completely changed my mind, and I'd say Jody is far and away my favorite character in SLARPG. Anyways, since for some reason I have the entirety of the Celestial Wasteland memorized, we beeline straight for Mumford and meet Glyph at the gate. As we arrive, we witness a standoff between two citizens, and despite being shot, the one on the right stands right back up again. That's when we learn that this town consists entirely of the undead. We also meet Neff. You might recognize her from the enemy encounters and may have thought that they were just a bunch of mummies that looked the same, but nope, that was her every time. Glyph and Neff tell us they know where the intruders went and we'll head that way in the morning. For now, we can do whatever we want, so I stock up on some brand new gear. The armor and weapons aren't too important, but the charms are what I want to highlight. I get the Mana Saver for Claire, which reduces the cost of her spells by 25%, the Right Back At You for Allison, which gives her a 25% chance to counter when she's hit, and the Bewitched Bandage for Mel. So I definitely read this wrong, and I thought it increased healing spells by 50% whenever cast. Turns out it increases the amount of healing received by 50%. Oops, but on the bright side, that means that Mel is always healthy and it's important she's able to stick around, so not a huge blunder. Jody. I don't get anything for Jody just yet. I also got the Wavemaker spellbook for Claire, just so she has some more coverage with water moves. After a long day of shopping, we head to the inn and sleep, and Senna, the receptionist, tells us that Mumford's savior is in town. Once entering the lounge, we run into none other than Amelia, Mumford's very own savior, and Allison's very own mom. We all sit around and listen to her stories of her grand adventures. Then Mel tells Allison that she should add some of her stories in, but she has a really hard time communicating the Core Guardian fight from earlier. Jody then talks about the story of how she ended up with Faith. Basically, she moved to Greenridge after a breakup and began working as a blacksmith. Faith came in, passionate to be the next guardian of Greenridge, and was stuck around until her gear was completed, which then she just ended up asking Jody out. After story time, everyone decides to turn in for the night, and we get another really sweet scene between Mel and Allison.
You okay, dear? You seem tense.
Don't worry about it. You've already got enough on your plate right now without worrying about my crap.
Worrying about your crap is kind of my job.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about my mom, I guess.
Aren't you happy to see her? You love your mom. She's your hero, isn't she?
I know. It's just a lot to live up to sometimes. She's literally these people's savior. Meanwhile, I'm still struggling to pay my rent and cast basic spells. Plus, I wanted to see her again on different terms. I want her to be proud of me.
Your mom's always been proud of you, Allison.
She could be prouder. My life's kind of a mess right now. I don't want this to be the mental image she has of my adventuring career for the rest of her life. You know, sometimes I think about changing my last name, just so fewer people compare me to her. Part of me wants to make a name for myself instead of having to live up to that, you know?
That's understandable, I suppose.
It's just a thought, though. I don't know. I'm just rambling.
You're always rambling, Allison. That's part of your charm.
You know, as far as names go, Allison Amaranth doesn't sound too bad.
That alliteration makes you sound like a superhero.
Exactly. Thanks for being here for me, though. I don't mean to make you worry.
Like I said, that's my job.
Well, good night, babe. Love you.
Love you too.
This time, the focus is more on Allison than Mel as she opens up about more of her own insecurities. It's clear that she's trying to be strong not only for Mel, but for herself. In the same way Mel is trying to figure out what makes her unique, I feel Allison is trying to prove that her uniqueness is worthy of respect from her mom, and in turn, everyone else. She struggles with the same issue Mel does of being worried that those around her only support her because they're her friends. They're supposed to support her. And because of that, along with the constant comparisons to her mom, she isn't able to realize how impressive her accomplishments really are. But once again, she kinda just changes the subject with a joke and brushes everything off as her rambling. The next morning, the party heads over to the workshop next to the inn to meet up with Glyph and Ipsy. Ipsy is the one who made the device to fix Glyph and is really good with technology and machinery. She gives us the Machinist spellbook, which I give to Jody. This spellbook is weird. It relies on having scrap in your inventory, which you could purchase and get from defeating certain types of enemies. The one spell I use a lot is Scrap Armor Value Pack, which reduces all incoming damage by 50 for 4 turns. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely useful for the stage of the game we're in, and saves Claire from getting knocked out a couple times since she's so frail. We catch up with Neff, and she tells us that she'll lead us to the very suspicious looking place in the northwest of the desert. There's spikes blocking the entrance to the place, but Jodie's able to cast a barrier spell that allows us to walk over them with no problem. Once we get in, let's just say it has Javis written all over it. Yeah, so Neff helps us get in, and we're introduced to the Neon Labyrinth. Mel does a very convincing Javis impression and reads out that he's holding a meeting for all of his subordinates that you need an ID card for. We plan to infiltrate that and get info for just what his plan is. With that, we explore the Neon Labyrinth. There's a lot of keys for a lot of doors and some sand puzzles. We encounter another notable enemy, the Color Wheel, which does this. So yeah, that's pretty funny. There's also this room with this really funny maze. The drawing of Mel is really cute, and I like how the chests are all drawn on too. Even in battle, it's clear the maze is just drawn onto the floor. Finishing the maze lets us mess around with the sand levels freely, and rewards us with a silly little drawing of Jodie. We eventually reach a break room where we can catch our breath, get some snacks, and rest on a couch. In the next room, wait, am I retro now? As we traverse the different rooms, our sprites keep getting put in different styles, and it's honestly like really cool. We can tell we're getting closer to Javis because the rooms are getting more and more distorted and look very weird. We have to fight Singularity, which is just an amalgamation of parts from other enemies we fought so far. Once defeated, the party gets some ID badges and we're ready to go see what Javis is planning. As we read through the new user guide, it's revealed that it's called the Verena Empire Reality Scrambler. It uses magic given from someone named Queen Verena to shape reality. It absorbs existing matter like a black hole, then can reshape it to create new things, places, and even entire worlds. Rightfully so, we're a little freaked out and decide that we definitely need to go eavesdrop on Javis's meeting.
Hello, my dear minions. Thank you for coming to this mandatory meeting. The crowd does seem a bit thin, though. I'll have to give the stragglers a stern talking to. Well, no matter. Now, it's come to my attention that some of you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. As such, I have prepared a brief presentation on our mission. Our primary target in this dimension is the planet Reverie, which we are currently stationed on. While this planet may seem unremarkable, it is a place of particular interest to our leader, Her Royal Highness, Queen Verena, for reasons I won't get into. In particular, Queen Verena has her eye on a nearby archipelago known as the Sapphire Islands. These islands have a low population, which should pose minimal threats, mostly composed of these bipedal mammal things. Because their bodies are covered in a layer of hair, I decided to give them a little Nicholas name. I refer to them as Harrys. Unbeknownst to these Harrys, we set up 3 scramblers in key locations around the region. Our primary scrambler is set up to the north, atop the tallest mountain on the main island. This will soon serve as our new home base. Now, some of you may have heard rumors of a meltdown at our 3rd location, hidden below a town named, Green something. But rest assured, we have not deviated from the plan. As we speak, the scrambler is being repaired. If all goes well, the town will be under our control in mere hours.
What? Guys, we have to get back to Green Ridge pronto.
Not just yet. We came all this way to find Javis. We need to hear his whole plan.
You see, we have an undercover operative on Reverie, a liaison, who knows the area like the back of her paw? Do they have paws? Please, everyone, give a warm Verena Empire welcome to our new compatriots.
Guys, that's the person I followed out here.
Hello, Paula.
Oh, I can hardly contain myself. I'm so proud to introduce you all to your commanding officers, my boys. Everyone, meet Bigby, Killeray, Clinton, and Roy. Hello, everyone.
Howdy.
I made them myself, using fragments of my own life essence. They're my pride and joy. My sons. Please be sure to be nice to them and lavish them with praise, everyone. Some may accuse me of nepotism for putting my 4 sons in charge, especially when they're mere days old. To that, I say, I do not care. There's one person who made today possible. Well, other than myself and Verena, of course. Why, she's so instrumental to our plan that I even bothered to learn her name. This is Claire Higsby. Claire may not know how much help she's been, but we truly could not have done this without her. It was a certain spellbook in Claire's possession that caught our queen's eye in the first place. And it was Claire who summoned us here.
Oh, you have got to be kidding me.
Claire, what did you do?
Nothing. I promise you, I didn't.
In fact, why don't we thank Claire and her companions in person?
Shit.
Oh, you must have felt so sneaky. Ooh, look at us, listening in on Javis's meeting without him noticing. You dimwits! Of course I knew you were here all along. This whole base, a mere distraction. We did all of these desperate shenanigans to lead you away from your precious little town and keep you from interfering with our mission. And you fell for it! My boys and I also have places to be, I'm afraid. I'll leave you with this as a parting gift.
Unfortunately, we get caught and are forced to fight a giant gumball machine that spits out gumballs that have a bunch of different elemental properties. One move that Allison gets access to because of her spellbook, Sabertooth Chomp, does really good damage to an enemy and leaves them with a poison effect which damages them for a few turns. The only downside is that she doesn't get any star power for using this move, but honestly it's a pretty fair trade. I use this attack against bosses often as it's a good way to make sure damage is still being done, even on healing and blocking turns. After the gumball fight, we're trying to figure out how Javis even got here, and the blame falls on Claire due to Javis's previous comments. She thinks he was drawn to our world when she created the basement dungeon, and Allison gets on her case about it. Whether this is true or not, we don't know, and after Mel tries her best to quell this ensuing argument, it's clear that she's very rattled. She struggles to cast the Purify spell to get us an exit, but eventually we're able to get out of there. We try to take the warp back to Greenridge, but it's smashed and Mel begins to panic. Luckily, Jody assures us that Ipsy can probably find us a way home. We rush to Mumford and Ipsy tells us there's actually a second warp, but it hasn't been used in a really long time, so we'll have to jumpstart it. The place we end up going to access the second warp has a mana leak, and it's pretty much like breathing in a bunch of carbon monoxide. We all split up to go find the 4 switches, and Allison assures Mel that she's just a radio away, and that we're strong. We can do this. As we get deeper and deeper, the rooms begin repeating. There's no cohesion. What's up? What's down? Which way can we go to get out of here? Mel begins to panic, radioing the rest of the party to no avail. The mana gas is beginning to get overwhelming. She needs to find an exit, and as she attempts to retrace her steps, a second melody begins to follow her every move.
Why do I feel like I'm being followed? Is someone there? Not very quick on the uptake there, huh? Okay, very funny. I get it now. This is yet another stupid trap from Javis. Good guess, but nope. I'm you, Melody. I've been with you for a while. I used to just be a blob of magical energy floating around in the ether. No will of my own, no sentience. But then that blob of energy bumped into you and became a manifestation of your thoughts, conscious or otherwise. Wait, I think I remember you. You were there when I got my magic, watching me. That's right. Speaking of that night, can we discuss a specialization you went with? It's been bugging me. I mean, come on. Amorous Paladin? Really? Well, at least you get that your whole life revolves around Allison. Have you been watching everything I do this whole time? Oh, relax, dummy. I'm only the voice in the back of your head that tries to give you advice. I just get to be more upfront about it now. Sorry, but this whole mirror image thing is throwing me for a loop. Can you do something else? Fine. If it'll get you to listen to me for once. Never liked this half-assed paladin outfit anyway. Better? And if you need a name from me, you can call me your Harmony. I wasn't planning on speaking up just yet, but you're just so boring, Melody. I couldn't stand to watch you wander around hopelessly in the dark like that. Seriously though, why are you so boring? You have no unique hobbies, no quirks. No personality of your own whatsoever. One time, when asked to list your dislikes for an online dating profile, you literally couldn't think of anything good, so you just put bad stuff. Now you're trying to make up for being an empty shell of a person by dating someone more interesting. You know you'd be nothing without Allison. That's why you completely reinvented yourself to please her. I mean, even down to the amorous paladin thing. It's almost impressive. Hey, back off. It's not like that. Yeah, I might not have my whole life figured out, but I'm working on that. I've only been a real paladin for a few days. Come on, who do you think you are? Jody? Sorry, but you'll never be as good as her. You couldn't even get your new powers right away. You had to cheat. And how's that all going? Because to me, it seems like your decision to roleplay as a hero has just put everyone in danger. Look, are you just here to harass me? Because I don't need this right now. I'm stuck in a maze in the middle of nowhere, miles away from home, while everyone I care about is in danger. Again, all your fault. Just want to drive that point home. Claire summoned those monsters to train your sorry ass, and Javis came along with them. Fine, let's just blame me for everything. What are you gonna do next? Make fun of my weight or something? Let's just play all the hits. Nah, you're pretty comfortable with your body. Besides, I'm not here to bully you, Melody. I just want to help you. Help? This isn't help. You just want me to hate myself. You already do, Melody. That's why I exist. Oh, shut the hell up. I'm just trying to keep you from making even more stupid mistakes, Melody. But if I really wanted to get under your skin, I could bring up what Allison thinks of you. Don't go there. Oh, did I strike a nerve? You already know what I'm gonna say, don't you? I don't want to hear it. Allison pities you. No, she doesn't. You've been trying to fight it, to turn yourself into someone you're not to keep her attention. But it's just reminding her how pathetic you are. She coddles you constantly. She thinks you're this cute little pathetic thing who can't handle this life. And she's right, of course. Because deep down, Melody, you'll always just be that pathetic little kid Allison had to save from bullies. And it's only a matter of time before she's tired of you. God, shut up, shut up, shut up! What did I do to deserve this? Is this what I get for trying to be happy? Yep, just get out of my head! Get out! You're right, okay? I'm an idiot. It's my fault we're in this mess. Everyone I care about is in danger because of this stupid stunt I pulled to feel good about myself. Oh my god, I'm gonna die in here. I'm going to suffocate or get killed by robots in this stupid maze. And they're never gonna find me. God, somebody help me. Get me out of here, please. I don't want to die in here.
Melody, oh my god, are you okay? The rest of the party rushes to where she's at to comfort her and get her out. After getting fresh air, Mel recollects herself with Allison's help and are ready to warp back to Greenridge. Now that we know Javis's plan, we need to stop him as soon as possible. The fate of not only Greenridge, but possibly all of Reverie is on the line, and we're the only ones that know the extent of his plans. Which brings us to Act 3. The party gets warped to an unfamiliar beach, but Jody recognizes it and tells us that we're not too far from Greenridge. We find a door in this lighthouse to the astral plane and hope to use it to get to town, but for some reason our path is blocked, which we assume is because Javis is up to no good. So we head out and walk along the Sapphire Coast, dealing with some enemies along the way. Eventually we reach a somewhat familiar spot and take the path to Greenridge, which to our dismay is completely distorted. As we're jumped by 4 enemies, Holly, Rhett, and Providence come to our rescue, and they tell us that Faith is holding on the tower, but Beverly and some other residents haven't been found yet. Rhett gives us some warp stones, which allow us to warp any civilians we find back to safety. We go into the houses that have intact doors, looking for citizens to warp out. The enemies we start facing are getting weirder and stronger. Like this horse right here, it's for when you're hungry, but like, not that hungry. And now just a regular encounter is a core guardian like what we fought back in Act 1. There's this awesome sculpture that a helper jelly is working on and it looks fantastic. I haven't mentioned them before, but helper jellies are kind of like the slimes from Dragon Quest of SLARPG. They appear pretty frequently and aren't that hard to deal with as they just kind of heal whatever monster they're put with, but man, they can be annoying. We find 2,000 gold in this couch, and as we leave the house, we're put into some glitchy, distorted mess where Bigsby is hanging out. We walk into Leon Magic and see that they seem to be doing alright for themselves, and go and find others to rescue. Allison's house is intact, and we take a quick power nap restoring our HP and MP before heading back out. We come across Beverly's diner, and luckily she's safe inside, and Claire goes to comfort her. She promises to Beverly that she'll fix this, and she almost confesses her love before warping her back to safety. Upon getting to the gear and item shop, we find two kids behind the counter that are adamant on selling gear and weapons so people can fight back, but we do eventually convince them to warp out. On the way out, we run into Clinston, who taunts us about a poison he made in his really funny accent. Next stop is the library, where Mona instantly starts chewing out Claire because she knows that Claire is somehow responsible for this, and we just warp her away. She was the last of the residents, and we decided that the next course of action should be meeting up with Faith at the tower. Unfortunately, the path is not only corrupted, but also blocked off by Paula. Allison and her have an exchange, and she warps off, leaving us with no clear path in. That is until Claire suggests using the basement dungeon beneath Allison's house. We head straight there, and luckily it seems to be intact, so we head to the door that connects us to the underground cave system. Once we're inside, we're able to meet up with Faith. Jody and her see each other for the first time from the start of the game, and we get her caught up on everything we know. Faith guesses that Javis is trying to use the tower as a power source. She said it doesn't work, but Javis is capable of things we've never seen before, so maybe he could get it running somehow. We enter the Guardian's vault, full of stuff the previous Guardians didn't want the public seeing, and Faith gives us the go-ahead to take whatever we find for ourselves for whatever happens. There are many enemies and a bunch of traps that we have to look out for. For example, I stepped on one of these pressure plates for science reasons, and we encountered 2 suits of golden armor. I remember in my first playthrough, one of these sent me back to the title screen, but these fights aren't too hard if you're prepared. Killer Ray is down to the library, and if you talk to him, he talks about how Paula is the first one you're going to have to get through, and how she's pretty scary. We find a picnic set and a cell in a dungeon, and apparently chests are great at preserving food. It tastes awesome. After crawling around for a little while longer, we find a key and a door. Whatever happens once we open it, we know it's gonna be big. If you ever find yourself playing SLARPG, which I highly recommend of course, and you're in a new area and see a save point, do it. Always do it. Save whenever you get the chance. The handful of times I didn't, I always regretted it. Anyways, beyond the door is none other than Paula. All that stands between us and getting to the bottom of whatever's going on is her. She does a lot of damage with her party-wide axe swings, and once she reaches half health, she begins cursing party members. One curse will damage you whenever you cast any magic spell, and another one will instantly reduce your HP to 1. Luckily, Melna has access to a revive spell. For 2 star power, she's able to bring any party member back to life with half health, and that is very useful here. Another really important spell I've yet to mention is Jody's Crack in the Armor, which also costs 2 star power and deals damage with the added effect of lowering the target's defense. That, plus the kiss bonus, plus the theme song, plus the attack boost from Claire, really starts adding up on Allison. As we walk into the next room, we see Faith in the midst of a battle against Javis' sons, and we see him attach a weird-looking device onto the crystal underneath the tower.
Faith, we're
One step farther and you will be obliterated!
Ah, good. I was hoping we'd have more of an audience for this.
Oh no.
Now, let the summoning commence.
no.
Hello, mortals. Your goddess has returned.
Our? Excuse me?
Oh, come on. Don't tell me you forgot to give me a proper introduction, Javis. I spend all these years thinking of the perfect line for when I return, and they don't even know who I am.
Apologies, my queen. I must have gone distracted. Should I... Wait, I know. Let's give them a hint.
Who is this?
I believe it's supposed to be a statue of you, my queen. The beasts had it erected in their village.
That's not me. That doesn't look anything like me.
It looks a little like you.
I suppose I've really let my hair grow out. But that armor... Ugh. And did they think I was an elf? Do they still not know what humans are?
This can't be happening.
Enough. You two attacked our town. We deserve to know why.
Jody, don't.
I'm sorry, where are my manners? My name is Queen Verena, leader of the Verena Empire, but I believe you know me by a different name. Something must have gotten lost in translation over the centuries. I believe the locals have been calling me Fortuna, goddess of magic, and if I'm not mistaken, that's my magic you're using.
Fortuna? The Fortuna?
The one and only.
I'm terribly sorry, ma'am. This is just a lot to take in.
I bet it is.
What exactly are you doing here, Lady Verena? You've been gone for so long, and, well, we never expected you to return like, this.
Please, cut the formalities. Grovel all you want, but I know your true colors. I've been to countless worlds and countless universes over the years, some more memorable than others, but yours is special. No world has managed to piss me off quite as much as Reverie. I wasn't planning on coming back, but the stars have aligned for my return. So who was I to turn down a little payback? I guess I'm just petty like that.
Payback? I'm sorry, but we have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, first of all, you're squatting in my tower. This tower, the one I built myself. But that's beside the point. Let me put it like this. Your world is broken. It was already pretty broken before, and I only made it worse by giving you ungrateful mortals magic 1,013 years ago. Oops, I was young and foolish. I thought sharing my magic would be a nice gesture.
After learning about Verena's plans and given a week to prepare, we head back to Greenridge and Faith as a barrier, causing the town to go into lockdown. We debrief in Faith's office, and Jody asks if anyone can explain what's going on for someone who is less magically inclined. Providence then gives us all some much-needed background info on just who Verena is and how much of a threat she is. Gods and goddesses do exist in the world of Reverie, and many choose to live as public figures, but they never give concrete answers to how Reverie was formed. What we need to know is that they've been around for thousands of years and are very powerful. For a lot of Reverie's history, magic was only used by these gods, but one day, seemingly for no reason, one of them blessed the inhabitants of the world with the knowledge of magic, and suddenly, that god disappeared. So, as it turns out, there is a chance Claire using that spell to give Mel and Allison magic back in the prologue may have also caused Verena to come back and want to take her magic away. At this point, Mel is really just trying to hold it together. She was awfully quiet during the meeting and just needs a break, so she heads to the coast to look out over the ocean.
Good going back there. Oh god, you again? How are you still in my head? I've always been in your head. I'm just a magical manifestation of your innermost. Yeah, I don't need the whole presentation again. Anyway, way to save the town, Mel. You just let them get away, huh? It's not over yet. We're trying to come up with a plan. You sure didn't chime in much during that meeting. I guess you're leaving it in the hands of the real pros. Oh, shut up. I've somehow ended up with the fate in the world in my hands, and I'm trying not to have a panic attack. Is that why you're running away? I just need some fresh air. The last thing I need right now is your nagging. Oh, lighten up. You know this is all a charade. If anything, Verena taking your magic away will be a blessing. Look how much trouble it's caused you. You'll quit pretending to be someone you're not, and go back to being regular, boring old Melody Amaranth. And Allison can quit pretending to be supportive of this little role-playing phase. What a weight off her back. She's not pretending to be supportive. Allison really loves me. Both of these things can be true, Melody. You ever notice how many times she's brought up the idea of you quitting? Or how reluctant she is to even call you a paladin? She wouldn't. This is all paranoid nonsense. Just give it a rest.
Melody? Mel, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. You doing okay?
I'm holding in there, I guess.
Mel, can we talk about something?
What's up?
I don't think we should be the ones to challenge Vernia.
What? What are you talking about? Who else could even do it?
I don't know, but Mel, this is all way out of our league. We didn't sign up for this. We just wanted to fight some whole hounds and scrounge around for treasure chests with our friends. And we were doing great. You were doing great, but now we've really got a reality-bending freak and the literal goddess of magic ready to wipe our town off the map.
Yes, and Claire gave us Verena's magic, remember? That's why we're the only ones who can face her.
I know.
So what's the problem? We've made it this far, haven't we?
We haven't even begun to see what they're capable of. They wanted us to get this far. It was all part of the plan. Most of the monsters we fought have been jokes, sometimes literally.
But who else could even hope to face Javis and Verena? What's our alternative?
I don't know. Mel, I know you want this to work out, and believe me, I do too. But if something happens to you out there, if you got hurt or worse, I could never forgive myself for letting it happen. And I can't let you do this.
What about everyone else who's counting on us? We can't contact the outside world for help, and Faith and the other paladins have to protect Greenridge in case this is all another trap. It has to be us, and I don't want my weakness to screw everyone over.
Melody, that's not what I
know it's not what you said, but it's what this is all about. We wouldn't be having this conversation otherwise. Face it, you've been practically babysitting me this whole time. You've tried being supportive out of pity, but even you don't see me as a real paladin. No one does.
Mel, you know I won't think any less of you regardless of how you do as a healer.
See? And you won't even call me a paladin. Why is that, Allison?
Why do you suddenly care so much about being a paladin? This was never something you wanted before. You only got the idea a couple months ago because I wanted to be an adventurer and you wanted to support me. I feel like I'm just I'm just taking advantage of your kindness and you're afraid to tell me. Enough's enough. We're so far beyond what you or I or any of us could ever handle. You don't have to put yourself through all of this for me, Mel. What the hell kind of relationship is that?
That's not what this is about.
Then what is it about?
I don't know. Allison, I thought you were the one person who would always have my back.
Whoa, hey, come here. Look, I'm sorry for raising my voice just now.
Why can't you just say that you believe in me?
I do, Mel, but I'm not going to encourage you to get yourself killed.
That's not what I need to hear right now.
Mel.
Just leave me alone. I think I need some space.
Mel, I don't want to leave you in tears like this.
Please, Allison.
Okay, fine. If that's what you need, I'll be back at my place. I'm sorry. I love you, Melody.
Wow. I hate to say I told you so, but what, no comeback? Fine. It's no fun when there's no back and forth. See you later.
Act 4 begins in Faith's office as she, Claire, and Jody discuss what we should do next. Faith then brings up her old mentor, Zinnia, and says that we should go see if she's able to help since we need to bring out the big guns. We're given Zinnia's key, which unlocks the gate that I mentioned back in Act 2. As everyone is leaving, Faith stops Jody and gives her a locket. This lets Jody summon Faith during battle to get a kiss boost, just like Mel and Allison. Speaking of Mel and Allison, we're not going to just brush past what happened the night prior as it comes to a head here, with Mel, for the first time all game, taking a backseat and letting Jody lead the party. Now Mel's at the very end, with Claire separating her and Allison. While we walk to Zinnia's, I want to talk about just how impactful Mel and Allison's altercation was to me. I was already sold on this game, but something about all the little changes that happen after Jody takes the lead just really hit me. I remember when I first saw that the kiss option was gone from their skill lists. It's just so sad. The little back and forth and the stupid jokes the parties would make are completely non-existent, and you could just feel the tension and how it's weighing on everyone. Jody tries her hardest to keep the mood light, but nothing really works. Claire is also pretty down because of the whole getting blamed for summoning Verena thing, so Jody's jokes just aren't landing. I do think a nice touch to go a little further with this idea would have been to either remove or change the little text that pops up after winning a battle. Like, Claire, now is not the time. I also think that Mel's healing should have been affected in some way, especially if we choose the immersed paladin path, but I totally get from a gameplay perspective why this wouldn't work. While in the grand scheme of the whole game, this section is pretty short, it is definitely the most memorable part of the game for me. After making our way up the mountain, which I definitely didn't game over in and had to replay the entire part, we arrive at the top, hopefully at Zinnia's doorstep. This is Zinnia. She's trained a lot of guardians over her 1,000-year-long life so far, and she's very eager to meet the party, as Faith has told her a lot about them. While she's learning their names, she comments on how Claire reminds her of someone she's met a long time ago. We get to explore her place for a little while, and we see that she's graduated from like every match school there is on Reverie, and watches a bunch of movies to kill time. We all sit down, and Zinnia is really excited to hear what we have to say, since she doesn't normally get visitors. That is, until Jody rips the bandage off. Claire reiterates that, yes, we have been challenged to a fight by the goddess of magic herself, Fortuna, also known as Verena. This, understandably, rattles Zinnia, but not for the reasons we might think so. She knew Verena. We fill her in on all the events that transpired, and she tells us everything about when Verena first came to our world. Hi, so basically I was gonna have my good friend Rel do Angelia RP Zinnia, but some things came up, and also the speech was just so long, and it would have made this video like 10 minutes longer, so I'm just gonna summarize the entirety of what Zinnia says right now, okay? Basically, one day Verena came to Reverie before Greenwood was even founded. Zinnia is like, super old, so this was like thousands of years ago, right? Zinnia lived here. Then Verena came, and she could do magic, which was crazy. She said that everywhere was full of magic, every plant, every animal, everything down to the smallest pebble. And so Zinnia really wanted to learn magic, but Verena was worried about teaching it to her because something might happen. But she did anyways. Eventually people learned that Verena could teach people magic, and so her and Zinnia opened up a school to teach magic. Eventually people started calling her the goddess of magic. We don't really know if she's one of the original gods of Reverie or not, because remember, there are gods in this universe, but she is definitely just as powerful. Verena didn't leave by choice. There was some sort of incident that Zinnia cannot open up about, and she has no clue who Javis is, and that incident was over 1,000 years ago. So we don't know. Zinnia blames herself for all the pain that Verena has gone through, and thus the amount of stuff that we have to go through now. She's sorry, she's so sorry, but she cannot help with this fight. Okay, that was everything. Yeah. She apologizes for not being able to help directly with Verena, however, she does say she can offer us some guidance. I love when she says that in times that she feels powerless, she focuses on the things that she can do instead of what she can't. So as a warm-up for her special training, she wants us to go grab some dragon berries to make some tea. We go outside and Zinnia wants us to split into pairs, so naturally Mel and Allison don't actually go together. Instead, she splits them up into pairs of Mel and Claire, and Allison and Jody. We first take control of Mel as she and Claire go into the woods to look for the berries. As we collect some berries, defeat enemies, and solve some ice puzzles, Mel starts opening up to Claire about a lot of the same issues she's talked to Allison about. However, I believe that Claire is more equipped to better talk about these things than Allison is. Claire gets it. I mean, she spent the better half of this whole journey being blamed for everything, and she's able to comfort Mel in the way that she needs. To break up this very long, serious bonding moment, I would like to show you my second favorite encounter in the entire game. Mel goes to open the chest. Oh man, it's a mimic. And then it sees that we're going through a tough time and decides to cancel the encounter and float off into the distance. The funniest part is that Mel and Claire do not acknowledge this at all. Anyways, Mel says she can smell the last berries we need up ahead, and Claire goes to go pick them for her. She trips over a hidden root and hurts her ankle pretty badly, so Mel, more confidently than the last time that we saw her do this, casts a healing spell to fix Claire up, and they have a really sweet conversation.
God, your mood was actually starting to improve, and I had to go and ruin it like always.
Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry for all this.
For what?
Everything. You and Allison and Jody and Faith are all risking your lives to help fix my mistakes, and I'm hardly even grateful. I rushed you and Allison into this guild crap because I thought it would be a good experience. And look where we are now. This guild even managed to drive a wedge between you and Allison. If we even make it out of this, then I don't blame you if you want to quit.
It can be hard for me to talk to you sometimes, just because, it can be hard for me to talk to most people. You can be intense, and sometimes you leap before you look. But you've also done so much for me. You gave me my magic, and I don't think you would have bothered if you didn't care. You really are one of my best friends, Claire.
God, you're so nice, like all the time. I summoned some sort of glitch apocalypse, and you're still not mad at me.
I don't know if I'm as nice as you think I am deep down, and I'm not pleased about the situation we're in, but that doesn't mean we aren't friends.
Have I ever told you much about my life back home?
A little, but not much. Why?
I didn't really have many friends growing up in Brightport, and my family always treated me like garbage. Jody was all I had, but then Jody graduated and moved away, and finishing high school as a closeted trans girl with no friends was, terrible. Then I didn't have the grades or money to go to a good sorcerer's college. After high school, I was just suffocated. I had to do something fast to keep my life from going completely off the rails. Sometimes I feel like my life's barely just begun. Like everyone else got an 18-year head start, and it's already too late for me to catch up. As soon as I could, I got away from my family and moved in with Jody. She was the only person who made me feel safe. I figured I'd just room with her, get a crappy job in Greenridge to help pay the bills, and start studying magic on my own. I didn't know if any part of that plan would work out, but you and Allison and Beverly and everyone else have done nothing but try to make me feel welcome here, even when I've been a careless jerk. Which is often. Let's be real. Even Faith. She cuts me so much slack. I thought I had the perfect opportunity to make something of myself here, and I didn't want to waste it. That's why I rushed everyone into this whole guild thing, and why I pushed myself so hard with magic. It just really bit me in the ass this time. Plus, I know we don't really talk that much, but you're the only other trans girl I've ever really been friends with in real life. You've always been really supportive, and I don't know if I've made it clear how much that means to me.
You've gotta look out for each other. If we don't, then who will?
Hey, sorry it took the apocalypse for me to say I care about you, Melody.
Likewise. If we make it through this, we should hang out more. You know, under less dire circumstances. Also, your leg probably finished healing about a minute ago now.
Oh, yeah, it does feel better. Thank you.
We then get to see what Allison and Jody are up to, and it's about what you'd expect. Allison is avoiding the topic of Mel entirely by making silly jokes instead. Just like the two prior, as they traverse the mountainous landscape, gathering berries, defeating enemies, and solving ice puzzles that took me way too long to figure out. I'm so sorry. Allison opens up more about the situation with Mel. I'll just say you never realize how crucial a healer is until you don't have one anymore. Almost like removing the melody from a song destroys any semblance of harmony within the piece. Allison says how she doesn't want to force Mel into all of this and blames herself for all the hardship Mel's faced. Eventually they find the final berries they need and start a small fire because Jody starts shivering since she was adamant about not needing any winter gear. Hey Jody, from your point of view, why did you and I break up?
Whoa, where's all this coming from all of a sudden?
I've just been thinking about it a lot today. We broke up and no hard feelings there, obviously, but now Melody's mad at me too. I'm just wondering, is history repeating itself? Am I making the same mistakes all over again? Am I just an idiot who's miserable to date?
Well, we were just teens being teens. We thought we knew everything even though we were barely out of high school and we were scared of being alone forever. I figured that, hey, we get along great as internet friends, we're both lesbians, we seemed compatible. If we're in the same town now, why not give it a shot? And then, after a couple months of ups and downs, we realized that we knew how to push each other's buttons in all the wrong ways. We weren't giving each other what we needed in a relationship, and so we went back to being friends. I don't know. I don't hold anything against you. It just wasn't right for us. But I wouldn't say what happened between us is comparable to you and Melody.
How do you figure?
Well, when we started dating, we didn't really know each other all that well. But you and Melody know each other better than anyone. And you were both totally in love for years before you even realized it. Tell me, what does Melody mean to you?
She means the world to me. She's always been there for me, and I've tried my hardest to be there for her. Around her, I feel safe. I don't have to impress her. I can just be me, and she understands me. I hope the feeling is mutual.
What you two have is really special. This isn't going to disappear just because of an argument or two. I mean, look at me and Faith. We still have our disagreements.
Really? I've never seen you two fight.
Oh, totally. We love each other, of course, but our lives aren't always completely compatible. I didn't become a knight for Faith, but I kind of figured I'd be working with her more. It didn't work out like that. She's got her responsibilities, I've got mine. We can't always find time for each other. Sometimes that really stings. And sometimes Faith has a lot more on her plate. And I want to be there to help, but that's just not what she needs. So we've learned to compromise and be clear about our needs. To know when we need to be there for each other and when we need our space. Of course, I don't think my actions this week are really helping things.
Oh, come on. You've done nothing but save our butts left and right.
Yeah, and I also led everyone into a trap because I ran off to play Hero in the Desert, which left Green Ridge wide open. And really, everything that's happened is kind of my fault. I was supposed to keep Claire from getting in trouble, and I've clearly failed to do that. There's no shortage of stupid things I've done lately that have caused my girlfriend needless stress. I know she's frustrated, even if she's good at hiding it. I thought I could be there for Faith and help Claire get the guild going, and support you and Melody, and make everyone happy all at once. It turns out that it's not as easy as I thought it would be. I feel like I've gotten a little off track here.
It's fine. It's not like me and Melody are the only ones having a rough week.
The point is, relationships take work. That's just normal. I'll have to find some other way to make it up to Faith, and I'll do better in the future, because we love each other. It's the same with you two. This week has been a lot for all of us. I know it's hard, but if Melody wants some space right now, then maybe that's just what she needs.
Thank you, Jody. That helps a lot. Come on, let's head back to... Before I'm able to go into my mandatory 2-sentence breakdown of this talk, we're interrupted by none other than a souped-up Paula. Verena gave her some amped-up magic, and she's overflowing with mana right now. This would be a tough fight for the whole party, let alone just Allison and Jody. They're able to hold their own, however. Barring a few close calls, we're slowly whittling her down. It looks like we're in for one hell of a fight, and right as she hits half health, she collapses. To keep her from freezing to death, we take her back to Zinnia's and drain her of her access mana to save her from getting mana poisoning. Once waking up, she talks about why she hates magic users like us, because magic allows weaklings, people who don't deserve to be powerful in her eyes, direct access to that power. Surprisingly, Alicent is able to relate to Paula's struggles. She knows what it's like to be stuck at that bottom rung in society, working so hard just to get nowhere, but she's actively trying to make a better life for herself. Surrounded by people that care about her, she pushes ahead on a daunting adventure to make a name for herself because she realizes she doesn't want to end up bitter like Paula is. Paula does not care at all and warps back to Verina's hideout immediately. After Mel and Allison make up with each other, Mel says how she's frustrated at everything, but her and Allison can't just keep pushing each other away. They hug it out, and after one last stupid joke from Allison, Mel reveals that her and Claire have come up with a plan to deal with Verina. You find yourself falling. Through what? You aren't sure. Stardust? It's usually stardust. This is the beginning of a story about someone zipping through the universe trying to find any signs of life, fantasizing about building a little house on an asteroid, almost giving up their mission right before they land on an island. They zip around looking for locals, running into a large, scaly creature who just happens to be Zinnia. The planet? Reverie. Right before it's revealed who the story is about, Paula wakes us up. We're now in control of Verina. Remember that helper jelly from earlier? She finally finished that statue, and it looks great, by the way. We get to walk around the hideout and see Javis' sons playing video games together, and they are locked the fuck in. Killer Ray got stuck with the Mad Catz controller, and I'm convinced that Clemson has the cleanest DK this side of the Sapphire Islands. As Verina and Javis have a chat, it's clear that she's second-guessing just how terrible the inhabitants of Reverie are. Javis tries to convince her that the party saving Paula was to make some sort of mockery of them, but Verina still isn't so sure. She decides to go get some fresh air as she teleports around the island, looking back at some of the old locations to see what's changed, till she comes upon her own magic school. Or at least, what's left of it. She says Zinnia's name as she starts to break down, and Javis appears and comforts her. He's just a little manipulative here, reminding her that she's here to take these creatures' powers back because of how ungrateful they are for the gift of magic, and now she needs to take it back. Unfortunately, Verina, in this moment of weakness, buys into this line of thinking and is now convinced that she's doing the right thing. Back at Zinnia's place, Faith is here too now. Mel and Claire are going into the details about their plan to confront Verina. See, something's off. Verina could have destroyed Greenridge and the entire planet for that matter with little effort, but she hasn't. There must be something stopping her, right? Mel proposes the ultimate plan. What if they tried to just talk to her? Zinnia supports this idea and thinks there's a slight chance of it working, and Faith is on board too. Before we say goodbye to Zinnia, she teaches Mel the skill Dragon's Cure, which just combines all of Mel's other status healing spells. She also gives us the Dragon Key, which we'll need to access Verina's hideout on the tallest mountain around. I beeline straight from Zinnia's place to the Amber Woods because there's a crucial skill that Mel needs to learn that I definitely missed during my first playthrough and got stuck for a lot longer than I'm willing to admit here. This is Bloom. It allows us to, well, bloom these conveniently placed flowers that let us get to areas that we haven't been able to explore before. This is the final thing that we need in order to go face Verina, but you might notice that this section is still going, and that is because I go and do some side quests. There's this bulletin board in Diamond Square that updates throughout the game with brand new quests for the party to take on, and I'll be completely honest, I never did any of these. I do know that through one of them, Claire and Beverly start dating, which lets Claire kiss Beverly in battle, like Jody can with Faith. Sorry, Claire, I chose to keep you single. Anyways, I head to Mumford and talk to Neff, who is curious about just why everyone is undead in the town, since they don't have any memories of their lives prior. She tells us the earliest that any of them can remember is waking up in a place called the Crypt, so we decide to head over there and check it out with Allison's mom. Once inside, Amelia explains why she's Mumford's savior. She stumbled across this place with a bunch of people in tubes and just let them out. Before we head any further in, Allison double checks with Mel that she's ready to go, as this place is very similar to where we first encountered Harmony. Allison gives her some support and they're ready to go take on the dungeon together. The crypt is pretty tough. I'm not sure what level I'm supposed to be at, but I'm going in at level 19. Max level is 30, so I'll probably be fine. There's a bunch of tiles that move us around, a lot like the Silphco floor tile puzzles, but we don't end up as dizzy. We come across a door that's been punched in with a note from Amelia, which makes Allison's insecurities about living up to her mom come to the forefront again. This time, not only Mel, but the entire party is there for her and reminds her that she's not her mom. She's Allison. Looking up to her mom is one thing, but hinging everything she does on if her mom would be proud of her or not is completely unhealthy. Allison says she'll keep this in mind and she's ready to go further into the dungeon. As we go into this room, the door shuts and we're denied entry until we solve this incredibly tough CAPTCHA. An unknown error occurs and so we decide to launch the Help Wizard. This is my favorite encounter in the entire game. It is a stock photo of a wizard and he is tough. is what I would say if he didn't have 1 health point and 0 attacks. This encounter actually lets Allison level up and she learns Blast Beat, her most powerful attack, which will be crucial in the upcoming fight. We cut to a little while earlier where Amelia, Ipsy, and Nev are trying to hack into the system to see what it's all about, but suddenly a voice known as Daedalus states that employees 43 and 16 are away from their workstations and the situation is critical. Back with the party, we enter the final room and see everyone trapped in tubes and Daedalus' true form. It's revealed that basically Nev, Ipsy, and all the other undead citizens of Mumford staged an uprising against a corporation named Halcyon. In the process, they caused millions in property damage, and to repay that debt after they died, they were revived and forced to work for the company. Doing what? Well, system maintenance, of course. You know, the computers across the island perform trillions of computations every minute, and for every quintillion computations, 1 fun coin is generated. Anyways, we get into battle, and I am convinced after the first turn that I may be a little underleveled. At one point, he grabs Mel in his hand, and this sprite of her is just so cute. I love it. But even without her being able to heal her a few turns, we're able to take him down eventually. Claire learns Inferno, which is just a stronger version of Scorch that will come in handy, and with this defeat, Neff and the others are free. As we're leaving, Allison and Amelia talk for a bit, and Allison opens up about her concerns to her mom. Amelia assures Allison that she's genuinely proud of her, and even though she isn't around that much, she's always thinking about her. She gives Allison the Jolt Stone, which turns her Xerceon Saber into the Jolt Saber, which is a huge upgrade. With that, the crypt is complete, and I'd say it was absolutely worth it. Not only for the skills we learned and the items we got, but for getting a little more dialogue between Allison and her mom. It really feels like she has more closure now. As we're leaving the Celestial Wasteland, we run into a corrupted staircase seemingly leading nowhere, and as we enter, we see a scene from a little while earlier of Javis' sons being bored at the hideout and going around the Sapphire Islands ready to fight us if we happen to run into them. The first one we meet is Clinston. All of these fights have some sort of specific special effect thrown into the mix, and his is that the party dies after 15 turns, no matter what. This battle drove me a little insane. The first attempt wasn't too bad, but I just focused way too much on offense and ended up losing. The second attempt.
But I did it! What the fuck? No, why does poison take after the turn? I tried so hard. Fuck.
But luckily, third time was the charm, and we're able to defeat him pretty easily. We're rewarded with the Lucky Horseshoe that prevents most common status conditions. Taking a break from side quests, we warp back to the Amber Woods and head north until we arrive in the Uncanny Valley. It's really pretty, and after solving some puzzles and defeating some enemies, we get a key that unlocks a bridge to the main town. But before going into town, I'm back on my side quest grind, because using this path to the left, we're able to go fight another one of Javis' sons, Killer Ray. His gimmick is that he can shift polarities, giving himself and the party members either a positive or negative charge. If you have the opposite charge as him, he'll hit you for a ton more damage than if you were the same, so it's best to guard. I definitely underestimated how much damage this would do and almost lost, but I managed to pull myself back and didn't need another attempt. He gives us the Warrior's Headband, which I put on Allison, raising her attack, defense, and magic defense a ton, which then made me realize, my gear kinda sucks. Let me check how much gold I have. I mean, how much gold? We head right back to the little town from earlier and are greeted by Noelle, who informs us this is her sanctuary that's supposed to be hidden in order to preserve nature within it. I really love this location. As I said with the intro into the Uncanny Valley, it's really pretty. I love the pinks and the purples and the ruins scattered throughout. All that combined with the music creates a very peaceful atmosphere during a really hectic part of the story, almost like a calm before the storm. But I got gold to spend, so we don't care about that right now. We buy a bunch of gear, which I probably should have done earlier, and then we go talk to Noelle again. See, despite this being an animal sanctuary, we're missing, all the animals, and she asks us to collect critters around the Sapphire Islands and return them here. If we do, she'll give us some character-specific items. Mel can get the Spiked Bracelet, which boosts her attack as well as healing her whenever she deals damage. The Critical Jacket doubles Allison's chance of landing critical hits. Claire can get the Tiny Witch's Hat, which increases her magic and defenses. It goes under her normal witch hat because she actually can't take that off. And finally, Jody can get the Knight's Visor, which allows her to heal herself using her own star power. I have 3 critters, which lets me choose one, and I go with the latter. My thought process is, if Mel ever gets knocked out, Jody can bury herself and heal for as long as I need in order to get my footing again. Yeah, so I end up never using this. Mel doesn't ever get knocked out due to her charm, plus the full party heal, plus just having a really good health pool. In hindsight, I should have gone with the tiny witch hat, but it's not too big of a deal. Now, I'm not sure if this is a side quest or not, but speaking to Fauna, a magician in the middle of town, she usually performs at children's birthday parties, but she does have real magical abilities. She takes us to the astral plane and we talk to the Dream Knight. Oh yeah, there's just a guy hanging out in the middle of the astral plane. Whenever we interact with him prior, he doesn't say anything, but Fauna can actually take us inside of his soul, and so naturally we're curious and want to check it out. After defeating a few waves of enemies, we finally get to talk to the Dream Knight himself, and it turns out he acts as a sort of anchor for the astral plane, allowing there to be solid pathways and keeping things in order since people used to get lost. Since we protected him earlier, he gives us the Astral Bell. This allows us to warp to the astral plane anytime, anywhere, and it is beyond useful for the end of the game. We say goodbye to him, Fauna, Noelle, and the others in the sanctuary as we head for our ultimate goal, Verina's hideout. On the way there, we run into a helper jelly that turns into a heavy jelly that only takes damage from star power attacks. Since our most powerful attacks are the star powered ones, this fight isn't really that hard. Jodie's Righteous Blow, which powers up the more star power you have, chunks through her health, and it's just a really good attack I haven't mentioned yet. Defeating her, there's no one left in our way, and as we pass through a break in the trees, we see it. The tallest mountain in the Sapphire Islands, Mount Sappho.
There it is, the tallest mountain on the island, Mount Sappho.
This is definitely the place. Verina's waiting for us at the top.
Ready, Mel?
Ready.
They look like they're ready for us too.
Yeah, side note, I definitely forgot about Javis' other two sons. Please, God, let us be near the end. I've had star power stuck in my head for weeks now. Anyways, after the cutscene, we go straight to the astral plane and head to Green Ridge because there's one last side story that I want to take care of. It's very important. We take the gang back to Faith's tower and give her and Jodie some time together since they haven't gotten a chance to relax since all this Javis business started a couple days ago.
Your feelings matter just as much as everyone else's, Jodie.
Everyone else is going through so much worse than me right now, though. You need me to be my rock. That's my thing.
You're not a rock, Jodie. You can be hurt just like the rest of us. You don't have to be this unshakable guardian angel for me and everyone else to love you. You know that, right? You really are alike in so many ways. That's why we get each other so easily. But just like me, you put the weight of the world on your shoulders with no regard for yourself. It wouldn't kill you to be a little selfish sometimes, you know?
Wait, you're just distracting yourself by trying to help me with my problems now, aren't you?
See, I told you we get each other, dear.
You don't have to carry that weight alone, though. That's all I'm trying to remind you with this little trip. You gave Clara that speech about needing to accept help from others, but you could stand to do the same. You can delegate things more. You can trust our friends to take care of things like I'm trying to do. There's strength in numbers, you know?
Very well. I'll try to be better about trusting people if you agree to work on blaming yourself for everything. Deal?
Deal.
I love you, dear.
I love you too, Faith.
After this, Jodie learns Faith's Shield, which for 2 star power and 20 MP casts a party-wide barrier, and I would say that's a pretty decent trade-off. We warp back and begin our ascent up Mount Sappho. This section really reminds me of something like Victory Road in Pokemon, one final gauntlet to test how strong you are. The enemies here are tough, there's a bunch of puzzles and really good items to pick up. Another enemy highlight is the Fun Police, adding the no fun allowed status to whoever it hits, not letting them use normal skills. I just think this sprite looks really funny. We go inside and out, traverse magma pools, fight new and improved core guardians, until we reach an area where it begins distorting and we know we're close. As we make our way down this distorted yet oddly beautiful and peaceful walkway into the main area of the hideout, Javis makes another grand appearance.
I think you know why we're here, Javis.
You know, our town is open to the whole archipelago, not just you. You could have perhaps sent more interesting opponents for our forces to deal with. They're getting bored of you.
You're not getting rid of us that easily.
Look, Javis, I know we haven't exactly gotten off on the right foot, but hear us out.
Yeah, we know you don't like us, and we're not your biggest fans either, but we're willing to set that aside for the sake of diplomacy.
Out with it already.
We'd like an audience with Verina. We think there's some common ground between us. We just want to talk things out.
Nice try, but no. That wasn't the agreement. Your kind had a chance to just talk with Verina 1,000 years ago. We know how that turned out.
We don't, actually. That's the point. We want to hear the rest of the story from Vernia.
Play the fool all you like, but your little trick won't work on me. Look around you. You expect Verina to throw away all the work we put into this magnificent empire just because 4 mortals wanted to chat?
You're afraid she'll actually listen to us, aren't you?
Okay, I think there's enough out of you. Good riddance.
The party gets split up and we take control of Allison, who's trapped inside a cell, calling out to everyone to no avail. That is, until two familiar faces appear from the ceiling, Beth the Beast and Mariana. They did say they'd owe us after unfreezing them back in Act 2, and wow, does that pay off now. They help Allison get out of her cell and she walks down some hallways, defeating a few enemies along the way, right before coming face to face with Paula once again. They go back and forth a bit and Paula actually helps Allison realize some important things about herself. Paula isn't interested in fighting, and so Allison gets the last word and continues her quest to find Mel. This encounter right here is where I died on my first playthrough, and that is because of this stupid enemy. No, not the tape troopers. Nothingness. A completely blank sprite. Luckily, I remembered this from when it scarred me last time, and the fight is pretty easy. We go back into the mountain and run into Mel. She got out of her cell because of the astral bell. That's all I got. But the reunion was really sweet. Allison is finally able to put into words the feelings she's had since they started adventuring together. She was just worried that Mel was doing all of this for her sake, not because she actually wanted to. Allison realizes that she isn't actually worried about Mel. No, she's more worried about herself. They hug it out, Mel rejoins the party, and we dive back into the hideout to find the rest of our friends. After solving some more puzzles and fighting more enemies, we break Jody out of her cell, and now we're all ready to go find Claire. We grab a key from earlier in order to open Claire's cell, and we walk right past her to open the chest in there, which contains another key for the big door in the main room of the hideout. Now we have the band back together, and we're ready to go in this once and for all. While I said going up Mount Safa was the gauntlet to test your skill, what's behind this door truly tests to see if you're ready for what's to come. Not only are the enemies in the normal encounter super strong, but once you solve all these puzzles, in the dark mind you, we then have 4 tough fights, including 2 bosses from earlier in the game. After all that is completed, we enter the final room and are face to face with Javis.
Ah, I see. You finally made it. Get sidetracked along the way? Enjoying the sights? Your whole planet is gonna look like this soon. So, you'd better get used to the scenery.
Where's Verena?
She stepped outside. I'm afraid you'll be dealing with me in her stead.
Okay, listen up, you waste of plastic. We're done with your games. We tried playing nice with you, but from the second you showed up, you've been nothing but bad news. You've threatened our town, tried to turn Glyph into a mindless killing machine, and you made Beverly cry. You don't actually care about Vernia's agenda, do you? You're just using her as an excuse to be a bully, just like Paula. Well, no more. We're here to see Vernia, and if you've got a problem with that, then quit toying with us and put up a fight.
So, I take it you'd like to do things the hard way, as they say.
If you won't stand aside, then so be it.
Very well, then. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Javis Show. I'll be your host tonight, Lord Javis.
Why?
Please welcome our very special guest tonight, Pink One, Ears, Claire, and Stripes.
We have names, you know.
No, you don't.
This is ridiculous.
You're ridiculous. Have you looked in the mirror lately, you overgrown stuffed animal?
Hey, that was unprofessional. Can we get a producer in here to tell this guy off?
I'll allow it, actually.
Verena!
Verena, we've been looking for you. Do you think we could have a moment to—
Let Javis have his fun.
Thank you, my queen. Your patience and generosity are unrivaled. Now then, on tonight's show, we're going to be playing a little game. You could perhaps call it some kind of show game. We have 2 pairs of romantic partners. They will be required to answer questions about—
Objection.
What now?
We, Jody and I aren't dating?
Jody?
Stripes?
Wait, you're not?
Yeah, no, I mean, we go way back. We're like best friends and roommates, but we're not dating.
I tried to tell him.
No interjections from the audience, please. That must be so difficult for you, Claire. Being a captive audience for those 2, and their public displays of affection while you're pathetically alone. Apologies for the technical difficulties, folks. It appears we'll be playing with just one team. You horrible little creatures prattle on about how you're motivated by things like love and empathy. But those are just filthy little lies. Whether you're lying to us as part of some ruse, or lying to yourselves, I haven't decided yet. But either way, you disgust me. So today, We're gonna put those claims to the test. When you lose this little game, well, you're a room filled with so-called monsters who hate you. You understand, I'm sure. Now then, enough stalling. Question 1. This is for Pink One. Ears has a poster for a certain musical group on the wall in her depressingly tiny domicile. What is its name? Correct.
Wow, I'm impressed you're able to read grindcore band logos, Mel.
Guess I've picked up a thing or two from you.
Cease this flirting at once, before I'm forced to deduct your point.
How are we keeping track of points? I don't see a scoreboard.
I'm keeping score mentally.
That doesn't seem optimal.
Oh, don't worry. I'm much smarter than you. Question 2. This one is for ears. What is Pink One's natural hair color?
Trick question. That is her natural hair color.
Incorrect. Oh, that must really sting, huh, Pink One? Your own romantic partner can't remember such a basic detail about you.
I guess Mel's just been dyeing her hair like that for so long that I forgot.
That's true. It's been a while since it was pure white.
Moving on. This next question will be for Pink One. Question 3. Pink One. What is Ear's social security number?
Oh, that's easy. It's 45334.
Melody!
I'm kidding.
Lame. I wanted to know.
What would you have even done with that?
She almost said it! We all heard that, folks. What a complete and utter betrayal of trust.
No, she was just joking. It's fine.
Okay. What are you miscreants up to? Did you receive insider information before the show? Are you doppelgangers of some sort?
What are you talking about?
You two have been fighting with each other. Why aren't you fighting?
We worked that all out, dude. We're doing great.
Better than ever, I'd say. Sorry if that ruins your show.
No. Ugh, this is all wrong. That's it. Show's over. Everyone, back to your posts. But if you're all so eager to throw away your lives, then so be it. Perhaps the problem is that you've forgotten who you're dealing with. Let me remind you, I am Lord Javis, court mage of the Verena Empire, and for the good of the Queen, I will annihilate you!
The real fight begins. He's able to take control of the party members, making them hit each other with whatever skills he sees fit. Not only that, but he has these huge energy blasts that easily do half of the party's health every single time he uses them. And on top of all that, he can create a corrupted version of any one of the party members at a time, using their skills to support him and hurt us. We take him down, and before he can regain his strength for round 2, Paula comes down to tell him that his act is over and it's time for the headliner, Queen Verena. We go further up the mountain before reaching the point of no return. This is it. This is everything we've been fighting for. Not only Greenridge, but the fate of Reverie relies on the success of our plan.
So it's you. I was hoping it would be you. The most direct inheritors of my magic Reverie has seen in 1,000 years. I must admit, you puzzled me back at Javis's little show. I was expecting something different. But I suppose that doesn't matter now.
Verena, listen. We're not here to fight you. We just want to talk.
Please, you're going to bore me to tears.
We've learned some things about your history on Reverie. We know it wasn't always like this. It doesn't have to be this way.
Oh, really? How exactly did you learn about my past?
We're not at liberty to say.
But we know there was an incident before you left. That's what led to all of this, isn't it?
An incident? Oh, that's rich. And you think I left your world by choice? Do you want to know the truth? You want to know what really happened? I'm not one of your gods. Perhaps you figured out as much by now. I never even wanted that crude title. And when your actual gods caught wind of the new girl who was teaching the mortals magic, well, they were having none of that. Magic was supposed to be their domain, the very power imbalance that entitled them to rule all of you in their eyes. But taking away the knowledge of magic I had given the mortals would be a tall order, even for them. It was spreading exponentially. And while they knew I wasn't part of their pantheon, people loved this new goddess of magic. She was a great PR move. They liked being given credit for what I had done. They just didn't like having me around. So, one night they decided to burn my little magic school to the ground and quietly banish me from Reverie. The world would never know. In a single night, it was all gone. A decade of my life up in smoke, and I was left to die, alone in the void. I had given this world everything, my time, my magic, my love, but you only knew how to take. And now, I'm finally taking it all back.
Verena, we have no idea.
Spare me. I don't need you to feign sympathy, I need your magic. With your magic, I'm going to fix your cruel, broken world, starting with my revenge against your gods. But we had a deal. You get your chance to impress me. Now come on. Enough talk. Let's dance.
Fine. If it's a fight you want,
Then it's a fight you'll get. I can only describe the vibe of Verena's fight as serene. Once again, we have these really pretty pinks and purples that Vernia's yellow armor and crown just clash against so nicely, with her beautiful battle theme not being as intense as you'd think, almost like she doesn't really have any hate in her heart for the party or revelry as a whole. Funnily enough, she is the only enemy to comment on Mel and Allison's kissing in the battle. I just thought that was funny. She specializes in insanely powerful magical attacks and uses a wide variety of spells to protect herself and unleash huge single target damage. Luckily, Allison starts getting ramped up and dealing a ton of damage. With the constant healing from Mel and the party-wide shields from Jody, we're in a pretty good spot. Once she's down to half health, she unveils her true form and stops holding back. She buffs all magical spells and starts doing big party-wide attacks that, if we're not careful, can easily wipe us all out. After a long back and forth, one final dive bomb from Allison seals the deal, and Queen Verena, the goddess of magic, is defeated. Since we won, she lets us chat with her, and Claire delivers a really powerful monologue about how important magic is and what it means to her. Magic is the ability to rewrite your own destiny, to become something greater than yourself. She wants to use her newfound power to protect the ones she loves, and she looks up to Verena for bestowing this power to the mortals on this planet. Despite Paula and Javis's best attempts, Verena just isn't feeling it anymore and wants to drop the whole taking everyone's magic thing. While talking about the inhabitants of this world, Mel accidentally lets slip that they talked to Xenia before coming here, and Verena's expression instantly changes. She believes Xenia got killed when her magic school was destroyed 1,000 years ago, and Javis has been lying to her the whole time because, as we know, Xenia is alive and blames herself for what happened back then. Verena orders Paula and Javis to stand down, and she's done with all of this now. She just wants her wife. Me fucking for real. Unfortunately, with Verena gone, that leaves us alone with Paula and Javis, and Javis isn't quite ready to give up everything he's built up in the last few days.
You know, Claire, that little speech a minute ago was truly inspirational. The one about magic letting you choose your own path.
Thanks?
I think you've taught me something today. I'm gonna choose a different path on my own. This whole time, I've just been thinking about what Verena wants.
I don't think that's...
But what about what Javis wants? And what I want right now, more than anything, is to wipe this miserable planet from existence.
We've already beaten you once and we can do it again.
But Claire said it herself. Magic lets you choose your own destiny. And do you realize how much magic is contained within these scramblers?
Hey, careful with that, man.
Verena would never allow this. But Verena's not here now, is she?
wait.
The scrambler explosion sends us to a dark, corrupted landscape, and as we make our way down this path, we overlook the Sapphire Islands. He has to be here.
Correct. I feel incredible. The raw power. I should have done this years ago.
Come on, we don't have to.
Oh, but we do. You've ruined my life. So now I think I'll end yours. Think fast. Ha! Struggle all you want. After this, your little town is next.
Jody calls Faith, and the two are able to hold off this attack for now, but it's clear it's not going to hold forever. Mel and Claire's attacks don't do any damage, and we're out of options and running short on time. We need to figure something out, and fast.
Wait, Claire, I have an idea. Do you still have Verena's old spellbook?
What? No way. Absolutely not.
If we don't do anything right now, then Javis will kill us. Allison, are you in?
I've got your back. 100% Melody.
Fine. Here goes nothing.
Melody, Melody, Melody. So eager to die, are we? You should have known this plan of yours wouldn't— No. No more of this, If you want to hurt me so bad, then let's see if you can put up a fight. You really think you can get rid of me that easily? You know what? You're right. What? I've spent a long time trying to figure out who I wanted to be, to find the perfect answer that would solve all of my issues. Allison's girlfriend, an adventurer, a paladin. None of those answers magically fixed me. It's not going to be that easy. It takes time and work and a lot of help. But I don't need to get rid of you all at once. Right now, I just need to shut you up for 5 minutes. And in this moment, there's no doubt in my mind. I know exactly who I want to be. I want to be a hero.
This fight is so sick. We have the main party plus Faith with a souped up Mel and Allison. We get access to some broken moves and just get to go to town on Javis. Extra eyes pop up around him and you can pick the corresponding attack for Allison to deal extra damage. I feel kind of bad for Claire, Jody, and Faith as they just kind of sit there and use defensive spells as Mel fully heals the party every single turn and Allison dishes out thousands of damages every attack. After a fight between literal gods, Mel and Allison begin to feel the toll on their body that amount of magic takes from someone. As they exchange what could very well be their final words, we cut to black. And that marks the end of Act 5. The epilogue opens with Mel and Allison in bed somewhere. Though they think they're in the afterlife, it turns out they're actually in Verena's house. She took the access magic out of them and healed them up so they're feeling good. We looked around her house, and one of my favorite details is this closet filled to the brim with our gear. One thing I never mentioned is that Claire uses hammer space to store our items, and because she learned that spell from Verena's spellbook, it leads to all of our gear going straight to her closet. We go outside and walk along this never-before-seen landscape, but at this point, we're really unfazed. We talk with Verena, and she tells us that she doesn't even really know who Javis is. She just met him while out in the nothingness and wanted someone to talk to. She says how Xenia was her first love, and the 10 years that they spent together were the best years of her life. After some more chatting about the multiverse and the other gods of reverie, we return to the top of Mount Sappho, where we hug our friends and see that Javis isn't able to hurt anyone anymore. Verena and Claire shoot him off into the distance, and everyone leaves on their own to go do their own things, leaving Mel and Allison left to walk home alone. Saying hi to all the friends we made along the way. Neff and Senna and Munford, Beth the Beast and Mariana, Claire and Beverly, and lastly, Xenia and Verena. Mel and Allison make their way to Mel's house, and one last time this adventure, they call it a night. The irony of it all. We finally get the internet and phone service back, we're reconnected with the outside world, and we can't tell anyone the full story of what really happened.
Like anyone would believe us even if we could.
You have a point there. And besides, we know what we did. I'm proud of myself, and for once I'm not terrified of my future. That matters more than all the external validation in the world, I'd say.
Speaking of the future, any big plans for tomorrow? There's a whole world out there for us to see now that we don't have an apocalypse to avert.
God, I haven't even begun to think about that yet. We're really just getting started, huh? But for tomorrow, the main thing on the agenda is going to be sleeping until noon and appreciating how comfortable it is in bed with you.
Sounds like a plan.
I still just can't believe how incredible we were back there. You were totally fearless.
You want to know the truth? I was still terrified the whole time. I think I've got one big heroic moment like that in me per year, tops. But maybe that's enough.
That's a win in my book, Mel. Well, time for some shut-eye. Good night, Melody. Love you.
Love you too, Allison.
Damn it, I can't get it out of my head. It's gonna be there forever, I swear. Well, that was Super Lesbian Animal RPG, one of my favorite indie games of all time. I really found myself resonating with Melody's personal struggles throughout the game, and I could feel how much love was put into shaping every interaction. I had my girlfriend voice Melody. Actually, that's kind of the whole reason I made all this. It started as a cute little idea where I'd be Allison and she'd be Mel for like 2 scenes, but then it kept getting bigger and bigger. I'm so thankful for everyone who helped out. A lot has changed in my life since I played this game just a few months ago, and all the footage you saw was recorded over the course of about 4 or 5 months. This game has stuck with me throughout everything for half a year. I would try my hardest to find time to play even for 30 minutes so I could just try to get this video out, because truly, I want more people to experience it. This was totally unplanned, but right now, until the beginning of January, SLARPG is actually 40% off Steam, and I can't recommend picking it up enough, even though I did just make like an hour-long video spoiling the entire game. There's a link down in the description, and I am obligated to say that I am not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. This is purely out of love. Happy late 2nd birthday, SLARPG. Happy late birthday, Bobby. And now to give the gift of SLARPG to someone else this Christmas season. I'm confident that Dax, my best friend, my roommate, and my platonic husband will appreciate this gift I hand-selected for him.
Hey Dax, you should check your Steam.
Oh, sure.
Not woke enough for me, buddy.